एक है पंजतन 5 है, इमाम 12 है, मासूम 14 है।
अल्लाह एक है, पंजतन 5 है, इमाम 12 है, मासूम 14 है।
अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया वल मुरसलीन शफीइल मुज़निबीन नबीन नबीना व शफीना व हबीब क़ुलूबिना व तबीब नुफूसिना बिल क़ासिम मुहम्मद वअला अहलि बैतिहि अत्तय्यबीन अत्ताहिरीन अल-मासूमीन अल-मुंतजबीन। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्लाहुम्मा इन्ना नरग़बु इलैका फ़ी दौलतिन करीमतिन तुइज़्ज़ु बिहल इस्लाम व अहला व तुज़िल्लु बिहन निफ़ाक़ व अहला व तजअलुना फ़ीहा मिनद दुआति इला ताअतिक वल क़ादति इला सबीलिक व तर्ज़ुक़ना बिहा करामतद दुनिया वल आख़िरा। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद। अम्मा बअद फ़क़द क़ाल अल्लाहु सुब्हानहु व तआला फ़ी किताबिहिल मजीद व फ़ुरक़ानिहिल हमीद व हुवा अस्दक़ुस सादिक़ीन व क़ौलुहुल हक़्क़। अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। इन्ना अंज़लनाहु फ़ी लैलतिल क़द्र वमा अदराका मा लैलतुल क़द्र लैलतुल क़द्रि खैरुम मिन अल्फ़ि शहर तनज़्ज़लुल मलाइकतु वर्रूहु फ़ीहा बिइज़्नि रब्बिहिम मिन कुल्लि अम्र सलामुन हिया हत्ता मत्लइल फ़ज्र। आमन्ना बिल्लाह व सदक़ल्लाहुल अलियुल अज़ीम। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मुहम्मद व आले Elders of the community, ulama kiram, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Salamun alaykum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We take this opportunity, alhamdulillah, in thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have given us life, to be able to perform and witness tonight, inshallah, the night of Qadr. The 23rd night of the holy month of Ramadan is said to be the night that is likely the night of Laylatul Qadr. And we have talked a lot about the night of Laylatul Qadr, and in the previous lectures we talked about the goal on this night being the goal of meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The goal is liqa'ullah, to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to ensure tonight that we are able to witness the night of Laylatul Qadr. And that is really the most important thing for us tonight, to witness the night of Laylatul Qadr to the best of our capacity. And I want to then continue with my theme that I had articulated as far as the theme was concerned, is to look at spirituality and what does spirituality really mean when it comes to these great nights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. See, the choice is ours. We can either stagnate or we can soar. The choice is ours. We either stagnate or we use the rituals that we are going to perform tonight as a launch pad and soar into the world of spirituality and journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The choice becomes ours. Tonight we need to ascend to a level where we can witness this night and witness the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us on this night. Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. As I mentioned a couple of days ago, when we talked about the philosophy of Laylatul Qadr, this is the night where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that what you cannot achieve in 1,000 months, I'm giving you the opportunity to achieve that in just one night. You have to be prepared and you have to make the commitment in order to be able to take advantage of this opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has graced us with through His benevolence and His grace. So we want to move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now before I do that, and I talk a little bit about what we're going to do tonight and how important it is, continuing with the theme that we have articulated in these 10 nights or so, inshallah wa ta'ala, when I'm here with you, we need to first look at what is spirituality. So we use this word a lot, you know, spirituality. Even when you were advertising this particular series of lectures, the lectures were advertised as spirituality in the holy month of Ramadan, right? So we have to define what exactly do we mean when we talk about spirituality. What does it mean to become a spiritual person? That's what we need to understand. See, we have many wishy-washy definitions of spirituality, right? There are many really quite amazing definitions of spirituality. If you look at spirituality and if you Google that, word spirituality, there are so many wishy-washy definitions of spirituality. For some people, spirituality is the ability to be able to do something, or the ability to have certain powers. That's what it means to some people. The ability to see a vision, for example. The ability to have certain kind of dreams, for example, and they call that spirituality. For some people, spirituality becomes an emotion or a feeling that they have. Right? They describe it as an emotion or a feeling. And they may be able to get this type of an emotion or a feeling that they call spirituality by, for example, listening to some particular type of music, or doing some particular type of meditation, for example. Some people even feel and have this feeling of spirituality when they do martial arts, for example. And these people will say that today I perform this and I feel very spiritual. Yeah? This is how they define it. But what we have to talk about is what is spirituality in accordance with Islam. What does Islam say about spirituality, and how does Islam define spirituality? So I want to first talk about how Islam defines spirituality and what does it mean to be spiritual from an Islamic context. Now I know this discussion is going to be a little heavy, and you've just had iftar, and I know you probably want to doze off a little bit, but I need you to stay with me and stay awake because it's an important discussion. Maybe a little dry, but it's really important to understand. So that will be the basis of what I'm going to talk about in the second half of my lecture, and then it will all come together for you. And tonight, inshallah, you will have a different experience than you've had before on the nights of Laylatul Qadr. Say salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, let me explain this to you. The way we know things, usually the way that we know certain things, we know these things through what are called mental constructs or concepts. Right? If you know something through a concept or an image that you have created yourself in your mind. Thank you very much. So, it's a concept or a construct or an image that you have created in your mind. Even scientific concepts, even the laws of nature, is concepts that you understand because you have created an image of it in your mind. See, if I tell you, for example, what's a triangle? So if I tell you what's a triangle, I know what is a triangle because I have an image of it in my mind. I have an image of what a triangle is in my mind. If I tell you what's a car, you know what a car is because you have an image of that car in your mind. You have developed a concept of it in your mind, and that is how you know about it. Sometimes even our knowledge of religion is like that. Our knowledge of religion is that we know that God exists because we have created an image of God in our mind. Are you with me? If I'm losing you, man, then you got to tell me that you're losing me. And then I'll stop and we'll go back because it's really important to understand. So sometimes even, if I tell you, how do you know that God exists? Sometimes we create an image of God in our mind. Sometimes we create an image of God in such a way that we try and create this image of this person that is grand, that is big, that is powerful, that has got all these, different powers and so on and so forth in our mind. And that's how we know that God exists. Even the oneness of God, even if I ask you about Tawheed, we know Tawheed because we have created an image of the oneness of God in our mind. I know that God is just, and I know that God is merciful because I have a concept of justice in my mind. And I have a concept of mercy in my mind. And that's how I know it. So we know some things by mental constructs or concepts. However, there are certain things that we know because it is not just a concept in my mind, but it is an experience in my heart and in my life. That's a different type of knowledge, right? The second type of knowledge is that it's not just a construct or a concept in my mind, it's an experience in my heart and my life. For example, I know that I exist. I know that I exist not because I have a concept of it in my mind, but because I have experienced my own existence in my heart. And that's why I know I exist. Do you understand what I'm saying? Another example, for example, is pain. And I give this example because I'm a physician and this is a very easy example to give. If you feel pain, you don't feel pain because it's a concept in your mind. You feel pain because you are actually experiencing the pain. If you ask somebody who is in pain to describe it to you, it's very hard for that person to describe pain to you because he is actually experiencing it. It's not just a concept in his mind. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So there are two ways to look at knowledge. One is either the knowledge is conceptual, that is in our minds, or the knowledge is experiential, that is in our hearts, or in our being, or in our nafs, as we say it in Islam. Okay? Now, can you imagine, just for a minute, if we were able to take the concept of the existence of God, and if we were able to convert the concept of the existence of God into the experience of God within ourselves, how wonderful and amazing would that be? Right? So, if you were to not just understand the mercy of God, if you were not to just understand the justice of God, but if we were to experience the mercy of God, and if we were to experience the justice of God, how wonderful would that experience be for us? And that is what we call spirituality. That is spirituality. The ability to take conceptual knowledge, and then, conceptual knowledge, Quran calls it ilm. To take conceptual knowledge and convert that conceptual knowledge to an experiential knowledge, which Islam calls iman. This is the difference between ilm and iman. Ilm is conceptual, but when you convert that conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge, then you have converted your ilm to iman, and that is spirituality. The purpose of Islamic ethics and spirituality is to actually convert ilm to iman, convert conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge. So the next question we ask is, well, how do I do that? How do I convert conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge? How do I convert my concept of God, of Allah, to my experience of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the way that we convert conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge is through the Sharia. And I use the word Sharia in the very broad sense. I don't use it in the sense of fiqh. Fiqh is a very narrow part of Sharia. So what I do is I convert, you see, how do I convert conceptual to experiential knowledge? By reading books, by attending lectures. If you read more books and you attend more lectures, what we are going to do is you are just going to gather more and more conceptual knowledge. In order for you to convert the conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge, the way to do it is, the Quran says, وَالْأَمَلُ الصَّالِحُونَ. The way to convert your conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge is by performing good deeds. It's by performing amal salih. This is why the Quran says, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. Surely man is at a loss, except for that person who has iman, who has been able to convert his ilm to iman. How? Wa amal salih. Through performing good deeds. And how do we perform good deeds? By reflecting the names and attributes of Allah within myself. That is how we perform good deeds. So there is a very intricate relationship between spirituality, right, and Islamic ethics. Spirituality on one part and akhlaqiyat on the other part. In order for you to gain spirituality, is you have to take your conceptual knowledge and perform those deeds that reflect the attributes and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within yourself. And when you do that, you will convert the concept to experience. The iman, the ilm to iman. This is the whole basis of spirituality. And it is these righteous deeds, Allama Tabatabai, he says, that it is these righteous deeds which will raise your faith to such a level that your faith will be raised in a level where it penetrates your heart and you will start to experience Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more we manifest the names and attributes of Allah, the more we experience that attribute of Allah within ourselves. The more we show love towards others, the more we show love towards our family members, the more we show love towards our spouses or our children or our parents, the more we will experience the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more we show mercy towards others, the more we show mercy towards our family, the more we show mercy towards our community, the more we will experience the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within ourselves. You see, if you look at the Holy Quran, when it talks about the relation, it's not my topic today, but I just want to say it just popped into my mind. But if you look at the relationship between a husband and wife, right? If you carry out your relationship at home between a husband and wife based on purely fiqh, right? It will be chaos. Right? Because you could say, for example, according to fiqh, a wife is not supposed to even leave the house without the permission of the husband, as an example. According to fiqh, the wife can charge the husband to even breastfeed his child. Now, if you were to operate based on those rules, I don't know about you, man, but in my life it would be chaos, man. Right? Maybe in your life it will be fine, but in my life there would be chaos. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not say that in the Quran, that I want you to operate based on fiqh. Fiqh is there, it's very important. And there are some cases where it needs to be used, and it should be used. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rules for the operation of how a marriage should operate between a husband and wife, He says it is with mawadda and rahmah. It is with love and mercy. Allah says, you show love towards your wife, and I will shower more love towards you so that you will experience my love in your heart. You show mercy towards your wife, and I will shower more mercy towards you, that you will experience my mercy within your heart. That, my friends, is spirituality. It's not complicated. Spirituality is not complicated. There's a fashion of, irfan and this and that, and performing these wonderful things and visions and powers. And that's not Islamic spirituality. Right? This is Islamic spirituality. This is Islamic spirituality in accordance with the Ahlul Bayt. Salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. You see, emotional, superficial spirituality is based on emotion. And that spirituality will go as fast as it comes. That person who tells you that when I listen to this music and I feel very spiritual, right? As soon as that music is turned off, that spirituality goes away. The Islamic spirituality that I am talking about is a spirituality that is profound. And it is from the depth of the existence of a human being. And with that spirituality, it is founded on faith and righteous deeds. Amal salih. It's really hard to get. It's not easy to get. It's very hard to get. But it becomes ingrained in your heart once you get it, and you don't tend to lose it once you get it. So you got to work hard for it, but you end up, keeping it for a much longer time. Right? It's very important to understand that this, what we're talking about is that spirituality that is profound, that is from the depths of the existence of a human being, that you don't tend to lose. And look at, we have this is, well articulated in the Holy Quran. Ayah after ayah you will see this. This is the spirituality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to develop. The beauty is that it is really hard to get that spirituality. It is really hard to ingrain that in our heart. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. So He gives us an opportunity. And one of those opportunities is the one that He is giving us tonight on Laylatul Qadr. He says to us tonight, I'm giving you an opportunity to ingrain this profound spirituality within yourself. Something that may take you 83 years to do, I will make you do it in one night. If you are ready, I will make you do it in one night. That's the beauty of Laylatul Qadr. Prophet Musa, in the Quran, he says, Rabbi arini anzuru ilayk. Prophet Musa says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbi arini anzuru ilayk. My Lord, show yourself to me so that I may look at you. Show yourself to me so that I may look at you. Imam Khomeini, one of our insightful scholars, rahmatullahi alayh, he says that Musa did not aspire for a vision through the physical eye. Because Imam Khomeini says, free from such kind of things are the prophets of Allah. He says he yearned to see the beloved through the heart. Musa was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to instill this experiential process in his heart, because through this process he wanted to be able to feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be able to feel and see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his heart. And this is the reason why, when somebody came to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, and said to him that, have you seen your God? Somebody came to Imam Ali and said that you worship God. Have you seen your God? And Imam's reply was that I would not worship a God that I would not be able to see. And this man said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said, Ya Ali, You yourself are saying, La tudrikul absar, wa huwa yudrikul absar, that you cannot see God, that God is not something that can be seen. How can you make a statement like that, that you would not worship a God that you cannot see? And Amirul Mu'mineen said that I have seen my Lord, not with these eyes, but I have seen him with the eyes of my heart. Completely ingrained in Amirul Mu'mineen is the spirituality, profound spirituality from the depth of the existence of Amirul Mu'mineen. This is what we learn. So the more we reflect the divine names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within ourselves, the more we are going to be able to experience Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one of the ways that we need to understand that is a barrier for us, there are barriers that allow us to not convert our conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge, to convert our ilm to our iman, and one of these barriers is the sins that we commit. When we commit a sin, these sins leave a barrier for us. They are a barrier or a veil between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? We cannot reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the sins that we commit. And when you commit a sin, that sin leaves a black mark on your heart. It's the hadith from the Ahlul Bayt. That's called a hal. It leaves a black mark on your heart. But through istighfar and tawbah, we are able to wash away those black marks from our heart. However, if we perpetually commit a sin, see, you commit a sin, it leaves a mark on your heart. If you continue to commit that sin, then it gets to a certain state where that hal becomes what's called a malaka. And a malaka means it becomes a state within your heart. It becomes like a generator of sins. You have committed so many sins that now you have converted your hal to a malaka. You have now created that as a generator of your sins. Hal, if you're still at the level of hal, which is just committing a sin, is easier to wash away with istighfar and tawbah. But when you have a malaka, a generator of sins, that's very hard to wash away with istighfar and tawbah. Except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you opportunities. And one of those opportunities is Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr is one of those times when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you truly return back to me, if you are truly remorseful, even though you have committed that sin over and over again, I will give you an opportunity to even erase the malaka from your heart on this night. What an amazing grace that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. Once you are able to remove that malaka, then you get to a stage where you are ready to adorn your heart with the experience of God. Then you are ready to start to acquire the attributes and names of Allah within yourself, perform those good deeds, and start to experience the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within yourself. And if you do that, I am guaranteeing you this, you will feel like a totally different person. You will start to experience the presence of God within yourself. And then whatever you do, the automatic reaction to whatever you do will be in complete alignment with the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You won't have to think. anymore. It won't be that you have to think now which is the right thing to do. Is this right or is this wrong? It will be an automatic reaction for you. Why? Because now you have started to reflect Allah within the depths of your own existence. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ud'uni astajib lakum, right? Call me and I shall respond to you. Allah does not say call unto me. Allah says call me. Not call unto me. Not ask me. Call me. Ask for me and I will respond to you. Not ask for anything else. How selfish are we that when it comes to asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Him for our own selfish motives. And some of those selfish motives that we ask for are actually not even in the obedience of God. Sometimes we have cheated somebody in our business and we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please make my business successful, that business in which I am cheating people. We become very smart in how we talk to Allah. Right? Sometimes we do things in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, to give us more so that we can be more in disobedience of Him. Sometimes we have so much money and we get so consumed by the dunya, and when we go and prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are asking Him for more of the dunya. Wallah, this year I bought a new Ford. This coming year, write it in my destiny so that my next car becomes a Mercedes. We immerse ourselves more in the dunya when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ud'uni astajib lakum. Ask me from me. Ask for me. Don't ask me about your mundane day-to-day things. Right? Ask for me. Now I know what you're thinking, because it's also something that you know I think as well. And that is that, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong in asking Allah for your desires, right? I mean, what's this guy saying, right? You know, he's saying only ask for Allah, you know. Yeah, so, you know, Molviyo ki baat hai, right? I mean, you know, this is what you sort of say, think to yourself. Like, you say, you know what, we're regular people, you know, we also have our own desires and our needs. And where does Islam say that you should not ask for your own personal desires and personal needs? And I say to you that I am not saying that at all. I am not saying that you should not ask for your own personal desires and your own personal needs. I am saying only one thing, and I am saying that if you ask for your own personal desires and your own personal needs, what is the fundamental goal behind what you're asking? That's the question. If there is no Allah behind what you are asking, then you are asking for mundane things that are selfish. You see, for example, I'll give you an example. Let us say, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I don't know if this is going to be the right example, it's just sort of popped into my mind, but anyway, whatever. I'll tell you what it is. So let us say you were engaged to somebody, right? So you engaged to a girl, and you're madly in love with that girl, yeah? I can only give these examples when my wife is not in the audience, because then otherwise she tells me, you know, what the hell are you saying all these things for? But let us just talk about this for a minute. So let's say that you are engaged to somebody and you are madly in love with her. Now, if you call her because of her beauty, if you call her because of her wealth, if you call her and love her because of her fame, because of her wealth, because of her position, then you are not engaged to her, you are engaged to her wealth. You are engaged to her beauty. You are engaged to her fame. You are engaged to her position. You're not engaged to her. If the sole reason why you are loving her is because of those things, then you're not engaged to her, you're engaged to those things that she has acquired. And that's what I mean. If you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a long life, then ask Him for a long life with the intention that if you give me long life, O Lord, this is a life that I will spend in your service. If you give me more wealth, O Allah, it will allow me to be more merciful towards others who are less fortunate than I am. If you give me an education where I can be a professional, then I will look at a way on how I could use that education to help humanity at large. Then what you are asking for, although it is selfish, it has a purpose, and that purpose is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you see the difference? The difference is very subtle, but it's really important that when you are asking for these things, you have the goal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the ultimate goal. The things that you ask for are a means towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why you will find that the du'as that we have, some du'as you will see, for example, we say in the dua of Isha, وَجَعَلْ يَا رَبِّي رِزْقَكَ لِوَاسِهَا, for example, right? In this dua we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, O Lord, provide me with an extensive provision, right? Here you're asking directly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for some things that are clearly things that you want in your life. Right? And then there are other du'as, like if you look at the supplication of dua as-sahar, we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Oh Allah, I ask you for that beauty of yours which is the most beautiful. And every beauty of yours is the most beautiful. So, Oh Allah, I ask you by your entire beauty. You're only asking for Allah in this dua. You see how the Imams have taught us, right, these du'as, so that we are able to understand what our goal is when we ask for things to our Imam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Akbar daba phir salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. Now, this brings me on to the last part of my lecture, which I wanted to give. And usually I give a little lecture before the Amal, so this will serve as that part of the lecture, right? To put into context the Amal that we are going to perform tonight. See, one of the recommended acts on this night of Laylatul Qadr is, of course, dua. And we will have a whole lecture, inshallah, on dua, that we will try and analyze and dissect the different levels of dua and what it means. But Allama Majlisi, in Wifatul Jinan, he says that on this night, the best of duas are those du'as in Sahifa Sajjadiyah from our fourth holy Imam, Imam al-Sajjad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And he says that the two most comprehensive and important du'as to recite tonight are dua number 31, which is dua Tawbah, and then dua number 20, which is dua Makarimul Akhlaq. See, this is the night when the doors of mercy are open, and there is the highest possibility of us getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for that, as I mentioned, we need to have two conditions. The first condition is that we must cleanse our heart so that we are able to convert the ilm to iman. We are able to then start to experience Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing we have to do is we have to cleanse and we have to purify ourselves. And that is dua tawbah. Cleaning and purifying yourself. Then after you've done that, the part of our being, remember, that is going to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the heart. So the heart has to be purified from everything that keeps us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is His tawbah. But once you've done that, an empty heart will not get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you have an empty heart, now you have to fill that empty heart with all of those things that are positive, with all of those attributes and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is dua Makarimul Akhlaq. Makarimul Akhlaq is putting into practice the names and attributes of Allah within yourself. So see how on these nights, it's not just a ritual that just somebody picked dua tawbah out of the blue. And so, okay, you will recite this on Laylatul Qadr. And then you will recite Makarimul Akhlaq on Laylatul Qadr. There is a thinking behind this, right, from our Aimma. There is a reason why these have been picked as those du'as, because it allows us to make this journey tonight towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And dua tawbah, you see, if you look at dua tawbah, it has three basic components to it. And I call it the ABC of dua tawbah. The A is to admit and acknowledge. Admit and acknowledge that we have sins. As long as we don't make an admission that we have sins and that we have performed sins, we will never change. The first is to admit. The B stands for bad. We have to feel bad. We have to feel remorseful. We have to feel sorry that what we have done by sinning against the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to an extent that we actually hate ourselves for what we have done. We can change the destiny on this one night. We can be released from the fire of hell. How? By doing tawbah. And the C is for change. Then you say in dua tawbah, I want to change, O Lord. I want to become a better person, O Lord. And when you'll see, when you recite dua tawbah, this is the process that the Imam follows in dua tawbah. Admission, feeling remorseful and feeling bad, and then making a commitment to change. We must be able to recite the dua tonight. No, not just recite the dua tonight. We have to experience the dua tonight. This is the night of destiny. And you say to yourself that I can change forever. There is no hidden desire. There is no hidden desire to go back to that sin. When you recite dua tawbah. You're very smart. Very smart. So we think to ourselves, I have sinned. I'm going to recite this dua. He will clean everything out, but then I'll go back and sin, and then next year, inshallah, I decide it again. Good deal, man. Right? So our iPods and our iTouches that have those musical tunes from One Direction and Zayn Malik, right? If you really mean what you mean by doing Tawbah tonight, you will erase Zayn Malik tonight from your iPod. You will not listen to One Direction or Justin Bieber or whoever else you may want to listen to. Lady Gaga. By saying Dua Tawbah tonight and then just keeping those tunes, okay, maybe after Laylatul Qadr, okay, maybe a week more, I won't listen for a week more. But after that, Eid Day, everything's good. Eid Day is fun. We start listening to the tunes again. That is not the experience of this dua. The experience of this dua is that there is no hidden desire to go back to that sin. It is my firm determination to change, oh my Lord. That's dua tawbah. You know, Allah knows who is going back to their sins in the following year. Ya Allah, don't make me, this is what Imam says in this dua, Ya Allah, don't make me amongst those who will return back to their sinful life. I don't want a purification that I had in the past that was so superficial. No, tonight I want a thorough purification. A purification that will come from the depths of my heart. Higher level than that is what Imam says in this dua. Ponder over the meanings of this dua. Higher level than that, Imam says that I want even the thought of my sins to be forgiven and removed on this night. Allahu Akbar. Even the thought. That is cleansing. Dua Tawbah. Once you have done the cleansing, then you do Dua Makarimul Akhlaq. Dua Makarimul Akhlaq has many themes, and I call them the P's of Makarimul Akhlaq. The first P is perfect faith. Here you are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the first thing in this dua, oh Lord, give me that iman, that faith which is the best of faiths. See how we are converting conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge. This is what you're asking for in Makarimul Akhlaq. Give me the best of the imans. And then once you say, once my heart is strong, then my character will be good. Once my character will be good, then my niyyah will be good. And once my niyyah is good, my actions will be good. And once my actions are good, then I will be able to experience you because I will have converted ilm to iman. Makarimul Akhlaq. Second P is priorities. The second akhlaq that Imam teaches us is to pray for we should have proper priorities in our lives. There are many things you see in our lives that worry us on a day-to-day basis, right? Many things in our lives that worry us. And then we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, don't let me be engaged too long in those mundane things that worry me in my day-to-day life. Give me more risk. Why give me more risk? So that I have some free time to focus on you, O Allah. See why he's asking for rizq. There is thinking of divinity in that. You are asking for wealth, you're asking for rizq, but the reason you're asking for it, Imam says, is if you give it to me, it will allow me to have some free time. I won't have to work all the time. Right? It will allow me to have some free time, and I can use that free time to focus on you. The next P that Makarim al-Akhlaq talks about is pride. Says there is one character trait, you are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I know there is one character trait that will destroy me. And that character trait is pride. Takabbur, right? And he says that even if I'm occupied, even when I'm occupied in your ibadat, even when I'm occupied in your worship, I can destroy my worship by thinking that I am a better person than somebody else. That's called ujb, right? Self-conceit. And how many times do we think like that? We are so quick at judging other people. We love to judge. Right? Somebody who is, not praying, or he's not performing salat in the jama'ah, for example, he's in the back or whatever, or he's outside, we immediately judge them, right? Oh, I'm much more religious than he is. I'm coming here praying first line every day. This guy is outside smoking away. You don't know in Allah's eyes who is closer. You don't know why he is outside and he's not praying. You don't know anything, but we are self-conceit. Ujb. And our best worships, you see, our best worships we destroy because we have this self-conceit or pride. So we say, let me be very helpful to others. Whenever you have given me the opportunity, Imam says, whenever you have given me the opportunity to raise myself, always immediately in my heart, give me the opportunity to lower myself. Then, the other next P is prolonged life. We ask for prolonged life in this dua because Imam says, I want a life, a prolonged life, so I can do good in this world. And he says, the moment that I become a slave of shaitan, immediately take me back. The next P is peace and reconciliation. After removing my pride from my heart, after I have become your slave and I have saved myself from shaitan, how will I relate to everybody else? Let me have a peaceful relationship with other people. Let me be kind to other people. Let me be compassionate to other people. Let me be merciful to other people, O Allah. The next P is to prevail over harm. But I know I want to be kind to other people. I want to be merciful to other people. I want to be nice to other people. If they are nasty to me, give me the ability to be nice to them. If they do riba of me, give me the ability to say good to them. Allahu Akbar. Look at this. What do, man? We do right the opposite. If you say something bad about me, then I'm going to make darn sure that I say something bad about you, even if I have to make up the story. But Imam does not ask this. Imam says, if somebody has cut off relationships with me, then give me the opportunity to mend those relationships with that person. If somebody says something bad to me, give me the ability to say something good of them. But then Imam says, there are some people, however, who do not want to change. Even after they know the truth, they want to continue with their oppression towards others. So Imam says that I'm not going to be passive. Imam says that Islam does not teach me to be passive. Islam teaches me that after somebody has seen the truth and they are still oppressive, then, oh Allah, even though I have spoken out to them and they have not been able to hear me, now give me the akhlaq to resist them, not only to resist them, but to also defeat them. The next P is pious. Make me amongst the pious. I should always be kind. I should help those who deserve to be helped. I need to help and help humanity as a whole. And that is what taqwa really means. Whatever I do, I consider it less and always try to do more. And then Imam talks about persistent prayer in problems. I want an akhlaq that I always want to turn towards you, O Allah. Don't test me with a problem which will allow me to forget you. Test me with things that will allow me to get close to you. Don't test me with those things that will allow me to forget you. Persistent prayer in problems. And then Imam talks about protection from the devil. Another P, protection from the devil. Shaitan sometimes puts excessive desires in my heart, and he influences me, for example, to be jealous. It should be my habit that immediately when these thoughts come into my head, I should change these negative thoughts into your remembrance of Allah. It's makarim al-akhlaq. Shaitan will make me speak some abusive words and backbite someone. Oh Allah, I want the akhlaq that it should be an automatic habit in me, that when such a thing happens, immediately what I speak is not what shaitan asks me to speak, but I speak nothing but your praise, O Allah. Purification is the last. Then he reaches the peak of this dua and he asks for purification. And he says, I want this final purification. If my nafs is left alone on its own, it will destroy me. From my nafs, take from me that which will purify me, but leave in it that which will reform me. Oh, I want you to solve the problems in the core of my heart. And that is the akhlaq that I want from you. And then Imam says, the final akhlaq that I want from you is that I should always ask you for forgiveness. For the last breath I take in this dunya, I should be deserving of your forgiveness. The way to do that, Allah, is to give me the akhlaq where I want to reach a point where I love nothing but your pleasure. That's the process we go through in Makarim al-Akhlaq and Dua Tawbah. So it gives you the context of what we are going to do tonight, on this night of Laylatul Qadr. Cleanse ourselves of all the dirt and the impurities and the sins that we have committed. Adorn ourselves with the attributes and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then ask for that purification so that we are able to convert the conceptual knowledge to experiential knowledge, so that we are able to experience Allah in our amals tonight. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night of Laylatul Qadr that He gives us the tawfiqat and the opportunity to be able to experience this night of Laylatul Qadr. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night that He gives us the ability so that we can soar to His proximity on this night, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night to be able to purge our hearts, to cleanse our hearts of all the sins that we may have committed in the past. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night to give us the tawfiq to be able to experience His presence on this night and this night of Laylatul Qadr through the Holy Quran and the exalted Ahlul Bayt. Bar Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat.